Hello guys, good morning and welcome back. Alright, so in this video I want to show us how to draft a suit for a kid. Now the method we are going to use here is applicable for all age and sizes. So the first thing you need to know is you mark out your baselines. You mark it out as shown. Now once your baselines are marked out, then you mark 2 inches there. Now this 2 inches is for the folding or the hemming, right? So you mark 2 inches there. Then connect the lines as shown. Connect the lines as shown. Make sure it's connected all across. Then after that, you apply the suit length. The length we have is 22. It's for a kid. So now you make 22. Then you are going to add extra half inch to it. Half inch there. That's 22 and a half, right? Then you get armhole. Armhole is 8. Then get the half length. Half length is 14, right? And then mark the same thing inwards this way. Mark the same thing inwards this way. Length armhole 8, 22 and 14 inch for the half length. Then once you have marked those lines, you connect the lines as shown. Make sure it's properly connected in this form. Then take your time to connect the lines. This will be the simplest method you will see on how to draft a suit, which can be used as well on adult suit making. Mark the lines this way. Then after that, the next thing we do is you mark out at least 1.5 inch or thereabout, or 2 inches thereabout at that other side. Now this will help you to have the back allowance needed for your shaping and vent and everything. Then you are going to come in by quarter of an inch, quarter inch there, and then come in by 3/4 at the hem, just to give you that fitting effect at the back panel. Then connect the lines as shown. Don't forget that the quarter inch you marked was on the half length, and then the 3/4 was on the baseline of your suit. Then come down there by 2, that way, mark 2 inches that way. Then connect the lines as well in this form. And then after which you apply your shoulder. Shoulder we have is shoulder of 14 and a half. Divide by 2, you have 7 1/4. Then mark the same armhole, the same chest on the same shoulder on the armhole as well. And then connect the lines in this form. Make sure the lines are properly connected. The shoulder will be marked on the shoulder line and on the armhole line. Then after which you come up there by 1 inch, and then come down here by 3/4 inch that way, and come up again by 3/4 as well. Then the neck measurement we are using is 2.2 or 2 1/4 neck, or 2.5. Then mark it in that form. And the next we will do is you push out your armhole half an inch off from the armhole line that way, and then connect that place to go higher than the suit length by half an inch. Then do your neck curve in that form. Do your neck curve in that form. Bear in mind that the neck must come higher by half an inch on the shoulder line. Very important. And then go in this way to give it that fitting, and then come out in this direction as well. Now the extent can be 1 inch reduction on the half length line, and then 1 inch extra on the shape line, right? And then for the vent, you are going to use vent of 6 inches, 6 or 6.5 for the vent. Then the width can also come out all through the edge. We are doing the back vent, the back center vent, and we are done with the back drafting. Now the next we will do now is to draft the front. Now the front drafting will now be where you have calculations coming in. Now, next we will do is to, all right, so now we are trying to calculate if the front panel will enter properly without falling back or affecting the back panel. How then do you do it? You measure from that place 3 inches, 1 inch in, that way. You just from there, you take your chest measurement for the front panel. Now, this is called aliquot paper, right? This table is a table of division that has all the suit measurements in there. Now, you divide the chest by 2 and then look for 1/3, 1/4, and 1/6. Now, the chest is 33 inches, divided by 2 is 16.5. Then, under the column of 16.5, you look for 1/3, 1/4, and 1/6 measurements, right? Now, this paper is not clear enough, so you just look for these measurements I have just mentioned for you on the aliquot paper. All right, so now I have my measurements already drafted out. So now the 1/3 of my chest measurement 33 is 5.5. The 1/4 is 4.18, and the 1/6 is 2.75. Right? This simply means divide your chest by 2, then divide it by 1/3 here is by 3. Now 1/4 here, divide your chest by 2 and divide by 4 again. That's the value. Now this 1/6 means divide your chest by 2 and divide by 6 again. So that is the meaning of these measurements, right? If you don't have the electron paper, you can still use the calculator to do this. Now after this, now we are going to start from the 1/3, which is 5.5. So you mark 5.5 there. Then you are going to mark the 1/4, which is 4.18. 4.18. Then you're going to mark the 1/6, which is 2.75. So that's the value you are going to mark. After which you now start adding 3/4 inch extra, 3/4 inch extra there, and then you now half of the chest measurement will be applied, which is 16.5. So you mark 16.5 that way, and then plus 3/4 again. Then you mark 3/4 again. Then after that, you are now apply 2 inches extra. You now apply the 1/6 value, which is 2.75. 1/6 value was applied after the extra 3/4 inch. Then after this, you now add extra 1.5 inch for the button allowance. Then the chest measurement is done. It's now for you to rule the lines and connect the lines properly as shown. Please note importantly the lines I'm going to raise. What the lines I am going to raise, then you either you use your T-square in order to get it straight, or you make use of your straight rule, however, but let's make use of our T-square. So we are raising this line up from here, right? Making sure it's straight enough. So you raise that one there, raise it up to the shoulder region, and raise the next one there as well. So now we have raised these two lines. Note importantly, the ones raised, and then as well, bring them down as well as shown. So you draw it down this way, and then also draw the 1.5 inch, which was the last one, down. So to get it straight, we measure from there to that point is 8.5. You mark 8.5 as well on that hemline. Make it again to be sure 8.5. You mark 8.5 that way. This is just to give you a perfect inch. You also bring down your 1.5 inch measurement there, and then connect the line from there as well. Connect it all through to that point. What the lines going down, the 1.5 inch was only brought down. And then after that, you now apply the 1/4, which is the 4.18. So you measure from there 1/4 measurement backwards, and then you have extra 1.5 inch there. You mark it there. Then you also measure the total distance to be sure of the measurement. So we have it to be 5.16. You also apply it on that line. You also have half of the inch measurement you might not have. Now the half deduction you are minusing is to give you that effect. You add extra half to that. That's 6 inches, right? Just to give you that measurement effect. If you watch the video to the end, you will be glad you did, and you will see how fine your drafting will look, right? So you just draw the lines in that form. So after this, then the next thing we do now is to get the armhole. You come up there by 1.5 inch measurement and then come down there by 3 inches or 2.5. You mark 2.5 inch here. Then after that, you are going to slope the front armhole line in this form, slope accurately from this edge, and then the sloping is achieved. Then the next thing we do is to come up by half an inch front, then mark it that way. Now this will serve for the color of the suit, right? And then the width measurement we had is 1.5 for the neck depth of the front panel. And then the extension of that will now come accurately from that tip, half inch off to the men's suit allowance before the button allowance as seen here. Then after this now, you are going to fine tune all your draftings and then mark your armhole. Then you're now going to apply your the lapel measurement, which we have to be 3 inches. So you mark 3 inches there, and then just to give you a perfect lapel size for this boy suit, then connect in this form. Now give it a curvy connection in order to lap properly. Now you now come down by 2.5 to give you that effect of the neck depth. Then connect these lines as shown, connect the lines in this form, and then after this you're now going to apply your shoulder again, measure out the shoulder measurement on the back panel that way in order to be sure of the shoulder, and then apply the same on the neck or the shoulder region of the front, and then go in there that way by half an inch in that way, just slope it accurately that way, and then you now start to curve your armhole. Your armhole will be a freehand curve. Now go down by half an inch or 1 inch on the armhole line, and then cross the intercept of the bodies of the front panel and go in by half an inch as well from the front panel, and then meet back to the shoulder point on the front panel. So this is how you curve your armhole for your suit, right? Now don't forget to also subscribe to my channel if you are finding this video interesting. So this is just a fast track on how to draft your suit. Now the next thing you will do is to locate your positions of your pockets for the front pocket and the back pocket. Then measure out 1.5 or 1 1/4 inch that way, and then draft it out that way just to give you the fitting as well. 1.5 inch for the fitting. Then you are going to mark your pocket position. From there, you are going to come up by 5.5 inch. 5.5 inch, you're going to mark it accurately all through that way, and then connect the lines as shown. Connect the lines as shown in this form, and then after which you now make your breast pocket. Now go off by 1.5 or 1 1/4, 1 3/4 inch on the armhole line. Mark a line there, 1 3/4 inch, and then pocket size is 3 inches for this kid, 3 inches this way, and then you're going to slope the pocket. The pocket is not straight, so come down by 1 1/4 inch from the armhole line, and then come down as well by half inch here to give you that perfect fitting or perfect slope of the wet breast pocket, right? This is how to draft your suit breast pocket. Then after that, the middle distance is where you're going to get your dart. So the middle is 1.5. So you mark at 1.5 inch that way in order to position your dart properly to lap at the center of the pocket. Then you measure up from the dart point to the side of the suit, and then make sure it's straight enough, and then you connect the lines as shown. Then connect the line. That can be as plenty as you want, but just make it to be precise. Then for the pocket side, you come up here by 5.5 or 4 inches from the sidelines, then mark 6 inches there. Then after which, because of the fact that the dart will close, it will fall back to 5 inches or 5 or 4.4 3/4 inch. Then you're going to slope the base of your suit. You slope down by half an inch that way, slope down by half an inch that way, right? And then make sure it's in a curvy form. Then after which you now try to come down here by 1.5, and then freehand sketch, you connect as shown, from there, and then make sure it's rhyming with the button allowance measurements you have applied. And this is a one-piece button, right? So make sure it's slapping in this form, and then you now fine-tune everything properly in this direction. So this is how you can perfectly draft the suit measurement. Don't forget that these parameters can still be used in the adult measurement once the measurements are correct. So I will cut this now for us to see as well how the cutting is done, and then possibly the gummy stage will come next. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. All right, guys, good morning and welcome back. All right, so in this video now, we want to learn how to draft the sleeve of the suit, which is majorly the sole problem of most designers who make suits. Now, most of us or most of them do have issues on how to draft a perfect sleeve for your suit. Now, I believe you must have watched the first video I made on how to draft the bodies, and as well as you have seen the cutting procedures. If you notice in the shoulder measurements, we went up by half an inch or quarter inch on the front panel, which I will still explain more in my subsequent videos. Now, the next thing to do as well is to mark out the baselines. Please, you must make sure you use this your angle ruler to mark out your baselines. Now, this will help you to have a perfect sleeve. Even though you might have used a straight ruler, it's advisable you use this rule to mark out your lines, and then make sure you give some allowances at that base, at least 2.5 inches or 3 inches gap at the side as shown. This will help you to give the curve that will be applied on the suit. Then after that, you connect the lines in this form. Connect the lines in this form. It must be straight as possible. Then the next we will do now is to sleeve length measurement. We have is 18 and a half. 18 and a half sleeve length. Then you mark 18 and a half inch there plus extra. So you mark 18 inches there for the inner arm plus 2 inches, right? Then the sleeve will be a bit slopey. So you now mark 18.5 here plus 2, making it to be 20 and a half as well. So 2 inches extra is what we are going to use. But then the other inner arm will be half inch lesser than the real sleeve length. That is the conventional rule. Then connect the lines as shown. Then once the lines are properly connected that way, now the next we will do now is to get your armhole. The armhole we used was 7.5 or 7. We used armhole of so now the armhole we used for the suit was 7 inches, but then for the sleeve you're going to use 4 inches or 4.5. Now you mark 4.5 inch there, then also mark 4.5 inch there as well, in order to make it properly fitted. Then connect the lines as shown that way, and then after this you now divide the total distance there, then minus 2 inches, sorry, divide the total distance there, half 13 and a half, which is 6 3/4, right? Then you minus 2 inches from it, it gives you 4 3/4. So you mark 4 3/4 there. That 4 3/4 starts for the elbow point. Start for the elbow point in order for you to have a perfect point for your elbow, right? So divide the total distance from the armhole depth to the sleeve allowance, and then divide by 2 minus 2 inches. Then from there, you come in by 1 inch at that point and come out as well by 1 inch at that base. Then from there, come in by 1.5 inch here, and then come in by 3/4 inch at that point. You just to give the curvy effect. Then come out by 3/4 inch in, and then come out by 1.5 that point. Then from here, come up by 1 inch from there, and then you go to aliquot part. Your aliquot table measurements we have from those divisions we did at the onset. For the aliquot measurements, we are going to use the 1/5, the 5 1/4, right? That's 5.5. that's the first division, then apply 5.5 from that 1 inch you came up in order for you to achieve a perfect point there. And then the last one is the 1/6, which is what we are going to use. So you now use the 1/6 measurement and apply from there as well. Then, which is 2 3/4. Then add extra ½ inch backwards. Then add half again frontwards. That the three lines must be half inch both front and back. And then you apply 3.5 from there, 3 inches from that 1/2 3/4 inch that came out. That's 2 3/4. Then you connect this part as well. Make sure it's grinding with the 418 you have. Then, because of the nature of the small boy, then you come back a bit and then mark 5.5 from the center sleeve, and then you connect from there to this point. Then you make sure it's properly connected in that direction, and then connect these points as well. Make sure the lines are giving you these exact connections you are seeing, right? So just to make sure it's coming out from that base, and then connect in this form. After which you come out 1 1/4 inch that way, and then connect it straight up again this way, and then blend it in that way, and then make sure you curve. Then from here, your freehand sketch, you curve in this form, targeting the 1 inch high, and then curve all through this way, and then go high in this form. Make sure it's coming at least 2 inches high, or 1 1/4 1 1/2 inch, and then see the lines I am connecting from, and then make sure it's connecting in that direction, and then you can blend it very well, fine tune it very well, and then make sure it comes out in this form, and then do the inner sleeve as well. And from here, bend it, blend it to this point, and after which you now flush it accurately this way. Now just make it to have that curvy effect. You can use your hip curve to connect this. Then we are done with the sleeve. That this one will give us both for the inner arm and the outside arm. So we are going to give the vent measurement. So from the hemline, 5.5 inch is for the opening for the sleeve. Then just blend it out by 1.5 inch that way, and that serves you for the sleeve. Don't forget that both the front and back is inside this. So we are going to cut this now, and then bring the inner sleeve out. This is called a two-piece sleeve. So I will cut this and show you how to bring out the inner sleeve from here. All right, so now we are done cutting the bodies of the sleeve. Now next we will do is you face it down, and then you have to mark the sleeve to replicate the size of the inner sleeve here. Face it down and then knock in this form. As you can hear the sound, knock it down. Then once it's knocked down, then you have to press it exactly at that point that the inner sleeve reflected. Press it exactly from that point the inner sleeve reflected, and then cut equal measurements here. Cut equal measurements here. That is why you need to drop some eyelets of the chalk on the bodies of the clothes, so that it doesn't it must give you that shadows of the markings, right? So just make sure you draft it as exact point where it's reflected. As you can see, the reflection was properly done. Then you cut it out from here. So this serves us for the inner sleeve, and that is the only thing you need to do on the sleeve for the drafting stage. So just cut it out as shown. So the next thing we do now is to just fine tune the edges this way, in order not to make it to be too bulky, to give it that fitting on the body of the client, right? So we are done with the sleeve. And then the next we see now will be on linings, cuttings, the gummings, and every other preparatory stage. Look at how it gives us a replica of that inner sleeve. So if you notice any difference there, you have to adjust the cutting now. So it gave us the replica size of that drawing we had. So just adjust any little differences you might be seeing there in order for it to correspond when you are stitching. So thank you for watching. See you in the next video. So now we are trying to draft the lapel for the suit, that the inner facing, right? The inner facing. Sorry, the inner facing, not the lapel, the inner facing. So, we are going to use lining as well, but then you need to draft out the facing for it. Then from here, come in by 1 inch in order to make it to lap properly. 1 inch, then just trying to make sure that the underneath is exact. I can actually adjust, you can just adjust the suit itself, just make sure it's exact. Then cutting it a bit bigger, right? Then cut exact there for the lapel, for the facing, sorry, for the facing. For the facing, cut all through this way, cut all through this way. And then after this, the next thing we do is you go high by at least 1 inch there. Now also go high at least 1 inch here. Later on you will still cut it out, but make sure it's a bit wider. Then but here will be exact at the neck edge. Then come up by 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch, but just make it to be a bit higher, right? At that point. And then after which you have to check the armhole position. So you have to check the armhole position 1 inch lower from the armhole point, and then 4 inches or 3.5 inch for the curve you're going to get. Then replicate it underneath from there to make sure you have a perfect connection. Then 3.5 inch allowance as well, and then open it up that way, and then connect with a curve. With the help of your ruler, you can decide to come up at the neckline by 1 inch. Make sure it goes straight, goes in this form, right? And then after which you connect this with a straight line. Later on, you now curve it to blend it properly. The curvy line is a more conventional rule or method. Then curve it up that way, maybe 2 inches or 1.5 inch high, and then also curve the one behind and below by the same curve. Then cut it out properly. So this is how to cut your facing for your suit. Then curve it in this form, cut it out properly, cut all through that way, and make sure everything is as exact as possible, right? So for adults, you can do it 5 inches, 4.5, as the case may be. Then cut in this direction. Then after that, you fine tune any other base to make sure it's cutting properly. Then the next you will see now will be on the lining, cuttings, and every other aspect of the suit preparations prior to our sewing. Thank you for watching. Please stay tuned and watch to the end for you to learn how to do this as well.